Welcome in everybody back to Granbury TV for another interview. It is February the 10th, 2012. I'm here with Judge Cockerham. And Judge, we appreciate you coming in. We also have a very special guest. You want to introduce our special guest to the...
Well, this is Linda Malin, and she is our Veteran Service Officer for the county, and she also is Hood and Somerville County.
That's right.
And she takes care of our veterans. We have over 6,000 in our county. And every time I go over and see her, she's always has a Marine or a soldier in the office and taking care of them and helping them with their veterans benefits and any problem that they may have.
That's right.
She's very good.
Thank you.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're glad to have you. Glad to have you here.
It's a real blessing. It really is.
Why don't you tell us everything that you do?
Yeah, tell us everything you do. Starting with getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth. No, I'm just kidding.
And racing out of the house to be at work on time.
There you go.
What we do in the County Veteran Service Office is basically provide a variety of different benefits for veterans. We handle compensation pension benefits for veterans. We do referrals for the VA healthcare system. We help them file their claims. We help them with upgrading their discharges. There's just so many things that we do. We also have a web page on the county website, which is really nice. And veterans can go on to the county website and departments, scroll down to Veteran Services. And what I did was I picked some key things from the VA's webpage and I put it on our website to make it easier.
And go ahead and mention that website, and I'll get the girls to put the website on the page for us.
Well, it is through Civics Plus, but if you Google the Hood County website or Hood County, Texas, it'll take you to our website.
There you go.
And also if you Google Hood County Veteran Service Office, it'll take you directly to my page.
Yep.
And I have a long list of our functions, which it's quite a bit. It really is. We help file for if a veteran should die on active duty or die of a service-connected illness or injury, we help the spouses with casualty assistance. We help veterans file for claims for education, for vocational rehabilitation, for Texas benefits, home loans, it's a huge variety of functions we have in our office. So
tell you what, and where exactly is your office if anybody should need to get in touch with you?
Well, fortunately, it's very easy. We're located at 1402 West Pearl Street, right here in Granbury, which is the same building where you get your driver's license. You just walk right in there.
There you go.
And my office is over to the left. You can see all the flags on the wall around there. You can also reach me at 817-579-3292. I'm there from 8 in the morning to 5 in the evening. I do take walk-ins though, but I do appreciate calling for an appointment because I cover 2 counties, Hood and Somerville County, and I also do home visits to veterans who are housebound.
You know, it's important to have an office like that here locally where we have a lot of veterans and they need services of that nature. And instead of having to go all the way into the Metroplex, we have a convenient office here and some people here that can take care of a lot of their needs or get their questions answered, which most of the time that's what you deal with, right?
Absolutely. And I've been working there now since November 2009. I was active duty for 24 years. I have a total of 30 years in the military. And so I have a lot of experience with veterans. I was a personnel sergeant on active duty, so I handled the paperwork that I created on active duty is what the VA uses to determine their eligibility for claims. I also did casualty assistance, which I do quite a bit of now as a veteran service officer, so I do have an extensive amount of experience. And I'm also accredited with the Department of Veterans Affairs. I just recently got my accreditation, and I'm in the process of my trip training now. So, yeah, I will actually be able to represent veterans to the VBA and help them file claims and actually call on behalf. I can look online and see what their claims are. So we're working toward being more user-friendly so they don't have to go to Waco or they don't have to go to Fort Worth.
Now, Judge Cockerham, what branch of the service were you in?
Navy.
You were in the Navy.
Yeah, Don't mention that around Linda. She's not young. She's
Linda,
Army.
What branch? You were in the Army?
Army, I was.
And I was in the Marine Corps.
Oh,
we got
wow,
a lot
we got
of,
three
a lot of the branches.
representatives.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Represented, I was in the better side of the Navy. So
It's just another rate in the Navy.
well, it's the elite side of the Navy. But
Semper
we'll
Fi.
talk about that. We'll save that for later.
Hey, I have to speak all languages, being a veteran service
Absolutely.
officer. I can't, you know.
Well, now I'll tell you, my daughter just graduating from high school over in Glenrose.
Wow.
And she is actually going into the Army Reserve. She's got a full scholarship plan to college. She's going to be commissioned as an officer.
Good for
I've got
her.
a son joining the Marine Corps. So these are things that are near and dear to my heart, is that we have people in place that take care of our servicemen and women when they need it after they've served. And in some cases, they can help direct you to the places you need to go even while you're serving.
Yes, and on top of that too, because I was a career counselor on active duty, I was a personnel sergeant, those folks that are in the Guard, our neighborhood folks, they can also call me up. I have a far reach. I've got a lot of contacts in the state, and I know a lot about career counseling and how to steer them in the right direction. So if they have a goal in mind while they're still reservists or drilling reservists, call me up.
Tell them about the DD-214 and your driver's license.
Oh, great news. Texas legislatures have passed a law. A lot of the veterans called me up stating that, well, we need a VA ID card, but there isn't really a VA ID card. Those veterans that are enrolled in the VA healthcare system will get an ID card, and those veterans that are retirees or medically retired get an ID card. But the rest of the veterans had nothing except a DD-214, so if they wanted to take advantage of those discounts that some of the stores offer, they'd have to have a DD-214, and they don't want to carry that around. So Texas legislature allowed for a veteran to have a veteran's designation on their driver's license. So you bring your DD-214 in when you renew your driver's license, and there's your proof, and they will actually put a veteran's designation on your driver's license.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That's a
It's
brand new
brand new.
law,
Yeah.
just passed.
That will go a long way.
It sure will.
With helping people, because you don't want to go carry the big fat wallet in
That's
there
right.
everywhere you go, and to simplify it, that is going to be great.
Yeah, it really
Fantastic.
is.
Well, a lot of this that Linda does is, fairly complex, dealing with the government. And I know my son, when he had some surgery, he was 41 or 2 years old, and they said, oh, we have a PD case today, in the VA, because everybody they treat is in their 80s or so forth. And but so the point is that a lot of this stuff is just really complicated for people to do. So, I suggest that they really take advantage of a service that the county provides for them through Linda Malin.
And I also encourage some of the organizations around the county to invite me to speak. I'll come out there, I'll bring some brochures and things like this. I'll tell you what I do. I can show you how to navigate through our website if you want to. I don't mind doing that. I've talked to quite a few organizations around the county and here in Somerville County. And also the seniors have some unique benefits too. If you're the surviving spouse of a wartime veteran, you could get up to $1,100 to help with assisted living care. If you're a veteran, a married veteran, and you're a senior and you are a wartime veteran, you can get up to $2,000 a month to help with assisted living.
Wow.
So, that's an important benefit that a lot of veterans
really
don't know
is.
about.
It is, most definitely. Bottom line, and we're going to put that number up on the screen here again. Give them your number again, because I know there's going to be lots of people that are going to want to get a hold of you.
Yeah.
Because it's always about information, isn't it? And getting the information out there to the public. That's what we do, we try to do here. And I know that that's what you want to get out to all the veterans. So put your number out there again, and you want to make sure you call her if you have any questions. Go ahead.
My number is 817-579-3292. And I have an email address also. They're more than happy to email me at lmallon@co.hood.tx.us. And please, send me an email, drop me a line, call me up. Any questions that you have, if I can't answer them, I certainly know where I can refer you.
Excellent. Fantastic.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Very good.
I'll tell you what, I love it when you bring in guests, Judge, because I know you're going to bring someone in that's got a lot of information.
Well, I want everybody to know that, we're just not all about the sheriff's department or any other, we try to provide a service for our citizens, and it makes good sense to get this information out so
Absolutely.
people can take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Most definitely. And speaking of information,
Yes.
got to talk about it, because
Okay.
today we had, and you don't mind sitting in, do you?
No, please.
We'll even let you kind of buffer between us. So sometimes we need that. So today we had a very special guest.
We did.
I didn't get to go over there because I was too busy here, but very special guest, Congressman Mike Conaway, got to speak and talk about the EPA and the things that are going on there. And I know that a lot of our citizens, me and the mayor sat down today earlier today for an interview, and he brought it up, and we talked about it again. There's lots of concerns out there in the public. Did y'all have a big crowd that showed up? Lots of questions?
We did, and a lot of the city council members were there. Some county commissioners were there, business people, and people who their businesses would be directly affected by the EPA. You're putting us in a non-attainment. And what non-attainment means is that our air quality is 1 point above what they consider to be not good air. And that is 75 parts per billion of ozone in the air. And ours one day got to 76 parts per billion. And so, but really that, a lot of that was attributed to, they took these numbers from 2008. These were when we were heavily drilling in the Barnett Shale. Had a lot of diesel engines running. Since then, I think we're 70% down on that. We hardly have any rigs running, and so we're running 20s and up to 50 parts per billion now. So we're way under the regulation, way under the standard. But since we exceeded it back then, they want to put us in. And what this means is that, like right now, it's like $14.50 to get your car inspected, and that'll go up to like $50. And the people will have to spend $150,000 to bring their inspection stations up to this new standard. And a lot of the smaller garages and things like that are doing their inspections now. Just can't afford that. And so consequently, it's going to cause a hardship on those people. John Campbell was there. A representative from Total was there, and they're in the oil field industry, and John does a lot of painting for that, and they'd have to put in, I think he was talking about one company that they spent $1.5 million just to get the environmental standards through the legislature. Had to pay lobbying groups and all of that kind of stuff, and a bunch of consultants. But anyway, it's just a bad thing for the county. We have a $70 million plant that wants to come into the county, and if we're in non-attainment, that would mean that they would have to spend a lot more money on things like to clean their air up, even though they're really not a polluter. But they'd still have to put in a lot more money, and so consequently they said, well, we'll just move to the next county down, and we'll be out of that. So I mean, it's just we need some good tax base, a little light industry here, but this will kill us if we do that.
How close, or when will they make a final decision on whether or not we will be included in the non-attainment area?
Well, Joey Grisham and I went over to met with them. I know this is a typical politicians because yes. I'm not going to answer your question directly. But we went over and met with them, and what they did is they extended the time frame for people to enter comments into the Region 6 EPA. And what they said is that I think they're going to make a determination somewhere in April. But, they're still getting a lot of data in. They really listen, though. When Joey and I went over there, and we went over with a guy named Ray Clark from the Clark Group, and he was worked in a matter of fact, he was Under Secretary of the Army under Clinton, and worked in the Clinton White House to help the Army be EPA compliant. So anyway, we hired him. He went over with us, and we wrote our comments. It was a 12-page paper that we sent over to them. And the congressman said, "I'm really here to listen." But even though he made comments, he gathered a lot of information. And he can work it from the other side, which is the Washington side. Mm-hmm. But he said one of the problems is that the EPA is an executive branch function. And he said, we're in the legislative, so they don't work for us. He said, they're bureaucrats, they don't work for us, they work for the president. And if the, you know, wherever the president leads them, that's where they're gonna go. And as you know, right now, you know, the environmental groups killed the pipeline that was coming in, and you know, which would have been thousands of jobs and just, you know, been a boon for the country. But the environmental people said, you know, there's some lizard or muskrat or something that, you know, it was gonna harm, so they killed those jobs. And you know, so you know, they kind of had a balancing between the unions that wanted it and the environmentalists that didn't. So, but
now, if you're a standard citizen out there, and I've talked to a lot of them,
I'm a standard citizen.
I'm putting a scenario out.
Oh, okay.
If you're a standard citizen out there and you're listening to this program and you're going, yeah, they're just going to do what they want to do. And I have been encouraging people to contact their representatives
Absolutely.
and to get involved in this issue, because they don't really realize how impactful this will be if we're included in that non-attainment area. And I've had a lot of people say, well, they're just going to do what they want to do. They want the Metroplex to, they want to be able to say, oh, look, we made the Metroplex better because they include us and their number go down. And what do you say to people like that say, oh, I don't need to do anything but sit on my hands? You need to encourage them to get involved and contact someone.
Well, that's very definitely, and I could say a lot about that, but basically what you know, everyone has a responsibility for this government, you know, because one guy was in Linda's, and Linda said, oh, this is my boss. She was introducing him to me, and you know, and I thought, you know, well, that guy's my boss. You know,
That's how I feel about the veterans.
yeah,
That's right.
And you know, every citizen out there is every elected officials, you know, they're their boss, and if you want them to do something, you need to make your voice heard, and you've got to. I don't care if you're writing. I tell you, showing up at meetings, absolutely. That you know, the more you know, they will listen. I mean, it's like rock you back on your heels time. So the public is very, very, very powerful there.
Absolutely. You know, and I say this every year that we get into election year like we are now, and we've got some local elections going on. It even starts there. It starts at your local. Find out what everybody feels about these particular issues, because it basically goes downhill from there, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Absolutely.
It certainly does. And another topic I wanted to bring out today during the meeting was during our talk was the rec center.
All right.
Because I've been reading a lot about it. I've been you know, talking to a lot of different people, and a lot of people are excited about this. Mm-hmm. Touch on us about what this will do for our community.
Well, we had a group together. Let me give you a little background. We had a group put together that was, you know, kind of, I guess, with an architect group, and then kind of that somebody that's done this before, because, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, you really need to find somebody that, you know, that does know what they're doing. So we hired this group to come in, and it cost the county. We had some money that was kind of earmarked for recs, and we spent it $30,000 to bring in this firm. And what happened was a couple of days before we had a meeting, the Y said, you know what, this community, here's what this community can do. This community, being Hood County, can support a 40 to 50,000 square foot facility. No more than that, no larger than that. And he said somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 million to build it. Well, then when the people gave their report, they were talking about a much larger facility, and one that the Y, who and other groups said, you know, if we came in, we would have to have taxpayer money to augment the running of this, and consequently the county was not willing to commit the taxpayers to do that. And so we said, well, it needs to be self-sustaining. And that's the reason that we said we're not going to build this $25 million deal, which is 100,000 square foot. You know, let's go back to the drawing board. And so kind of that's where it is right now. The committee kind of went off, and they really haven't been active for the past, but they're gearing back up. And what we need to do is get this on the November election, on the ballot, to vote yes, I want it, no, I don't want it, and put it'll really put the county taxpayers on the hook for about a $10 million building.
Absolutely. And this meeting will be Monday, February the 27th, and it's going to be at the Justice Center over there on Pearl Street. And we need the public to show up. Because
Absolutely,
again,
yes.
this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, being accountable for your position and getting the word out and telling the commissioners, hey, listen, this is something we want. And this is really something that the community really needs.
Well, and I'll speak for the county commissioners here a little bit, and they have perfect right to come down here and say, no, I don't believe that. But anyway, we want it on the ballot.
Yes.
We definitely want this to be a citizen. I don't want to make any decisions for the citizen, that will commit their tax dollars for something that they don't want. So if you want it, vote for it. And if you don't think that we need to be doing that, then, that's your prerogative not to vote.
Exactly. I mean, I said it's something we need. That's my particular stance. Somebody else, John Q. Public, he may say, no, we don't need it. We don't need to incur any more, tax base. And we need to hear both sides of the story.
That's right.
So we can all come together as a community and do what's best as a whole.
I bet I've seen Dallas and Fort Worth and other cities operate this way. When they're having a bond referendum, you have the pro group and a con group, and and they both put out their information and so forth. And that's what we need in this. Some good dialogue. And I'm for it, yes, and here's my reasons. I'm against it, and here's my reasons. And just let the public make up their mind.
Absolutely. We need to do that. It's Monday, February the 27th, and we need as many people that have a comment, one way or the other, to show up. And it doesn't have to be a confrontational thing.
No,
it just,
no.
Everybody has, I see good points on every side just about. Somebody will say, oh, I believe in this. Well, I believe in a portion of that, but I may believe this way. So we just need to have the dialogue.
That's right.
Need to have the dialogue. What else is going on in the county?
Well, a couple of things. We touched on the EPA. We also have a deal with FEMA. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management
Association.
Yes, association or administration or whatever it is. They have come out now and saying, oh, you guys, I think because of Katrina and some other little, debacles that they may have had, have coming out and saying, we really need to do a lot more in the county. And so they're trying to almost get it into the regulatory side of it, which they never were a regulatory agency. Right. They were a response agency. But now they want us to report, like, one of the things they said, well, how many, what are all your non-county assets, and how long would it take them to respond? And, well, what's the emergency? We have no idea. And plus, why do you want us to respond, to tell you how long it's going to take a federal agency when you're the federal government? I mean, it's just all kinds of things like that. And another thing they said was, well, you have to have your training for all your emergency workers. And you say, well, okay, well, what is an emergency worker? And they said, well, and they said, well, what about school bus drivers if they having to evacuate people out of the school? Well, if they drive the kids out and stay out, then they're not. But if they drive the kids out and come back, then they're an emergency worker. And so, I mean, it's just things sometimes you go, what?
What?
But anyway, it's just things like that, and there's a lot of clarification. Next week, I have 3-day meetings over in Arlington with FEMA, and the Texas, emergency people are going to be there. And I'm having to go back and forth because I got things to do here and things to do over there. But 3 days we're going to be over in Arlington talking about that. But really and truly, we cut the budget, $900,000 this year. We took out, lots and lots and lots of, I don't say discretionary spending. It was good spending, but, we just trimmed it way back. Consequently, there's not any money there for us to spend any money complying with this new FEMA thing. So, I mean, so we're going to have to come up with something somewhere. So that's what I'm going over to meet it with them next week.
Well, I know that you'll be getting all that information.
That's
and then
right.
the next time we meet, you'll have some more information
That's
to talk
right.
about on that.
Stack of papers.
Just
like
a big,
that.
no, just maybe a third of that.
Oh, okay.
We can handle that and everything. But I tell you what, anything else?
Well, you know, there's always something else, really and truly. You know, Linda's told us part of what she does, but I'm sure she didn't tell us all of what she does on a daily basis, and you just really can't. There was an article that came out what a county judge does, and you know, it's one taxpayer comes in and says, "You're wasting my tax money. You're spending it unwisely," and the next one goes, "Oh yeah, come in. You know, you spent that money just right." You know, and we're pulled in about 15 different directions every day. Every day, you know, citizens coming in for it, citizens coming in against it, and so. And that's the way the city is, and I know just probably the congressman, you know, I've never operated on that level, but I'm sure that they get pulled in a lot of different directions too.
It's a good time being a public servant, isn't it?
You know what? There's no better time. And if you, and I encourage everyone to get involved.
Yes.
You know, serve on committees and come down, like you said, come to all our meetings and, you know, just insert yourself.
Absolutely. We
Absolutely,
just
yeah.
get the information out. And again, if you are a veteran and you want some information, Linda is the person to speak with.
That's it.
We've put the number out there. We're going to have the number again and the web address. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad you're in the county. I
Thank you.
feel better now.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Less travel time for me.
That's right.
Absolutely.
She started to wear a uniform, but I said, no.
I got this flare up. You know?
Yeah, that's right.
Put in a claim for that.
There you go. Put in a claim for that. Well, I'll tell you what, it's been very informative, and it's been another great interview here with Judge Cockerham. We'll be back with more on Granbury TV.